Hello, let's talk about Ethiopia. Ethiopia planning to invade Eritrea at some point in the future? The reason why I'm saying this is that Ethiopia is the second largest country in population in Africa, about 160 million. Second to Nigeria, then Egypt. It comes third. Over the years, Ethiopian military have been putting massing around the border with Ethiopia and Eritrea. They have been closely, encroaching towards Ethiopian and Eritrean border. So now, there is this documentary I was seeing, and it's a military documentary. They said that Ethiopia is planning to invade Eritrea in the future. What will be the reason? One, Ethiopia is one of the most advanced country in terms of GDP growth, in terms of population, in terms of business global reach, that is landlocked. In all the countries with the highest population in the whole world, at least the first 30 or 30 something, Ethiopia is only landlocked country in the chart. So now Ethiopia, another thing you guys don't know, I said this channel is a channel that information driven channel. We tell stories, we have conversations. Ethiopia is the only African landlocked country that have a strong navy. So they are already preparing for that. They are already preparing for that eventuality of that happening in the future. What is Eritrea doing about it? Well, Eritrea as a country have military alliances, I think, with Russia. Some sort of military alliances with Russia. Their president have been ruling that country since 1991. Now, why is Ethiopia will most likely invade Eritrea at some point in the future? They want to have access to the sea. They have to have access to the sea. I remember having a conversation with an Ethiopian a long time ago. I was talking about business environment there because I know Ethiopia is a landlocked country. They told me that business things are expensive in Ethiopia because of, why? Ethiopia is landlocked. So they bring in, okay, another thing, 95% of what it runs Ethiopia economy is import driven. They don't export much. It's import driven. Cars, if they bring cars from ports in Djibouti would collect their tax, then Ethiopia will collect their tax. So double taxing, because the only means things comes into Ethiopia, goods and services, it come through Djibouti, seaport in Djibouti. I think it was constructed by China. And then Ethiopia have to build a railway from Djibouti into Addis Ababa, so that when those goods leave the port, they go into the train and straight to Addis Ababa. And here's the thing: there's internal conflicts within Ethiopia that jeopardize that rail line. So if that rail line is jeopardized, economic condition of Ethiopia as a country as a whole will get worse. So now, for Ethiopia to invade Eritrea, nobody knows what will what will be the reason, or what they think there will be the reason that Ethiopia will invade Eritrea. But according to every facts out there, according to military analysts and people that can predict wars in the future, that's another war that probably will happen. You see how Russia and Ukraine happened, and Russia took over Crimea. Similar pattern is exactly what that will happen when Ethiopia and Eritrea goes to war. Currently, Abiy Ahmed, the current president, who I think is nationalist. He have this tendency to make Ethiopia powerful and all that stuff. When he took office, they have some kind of trying to mend relationship with Eritrea. I think for the first time years, Eritrean president meets with Ethiopian leader. So they have a conversation around, you know, normalizing situation. But Eritrea itself, they are not stupid. They are watching too. So now, I'll put the question to you guys as always. If you are a fan of current affairs, global affairs, do you think Ethiopia is planning to invade Eritrea? And do you think if it happens, if the outcome will be in favor of Ethiopia? Because I feel like Eritrea, if it happens, Eritrea will have the backing of Egypt and Russia. I think so. But sometimes throughout the history of warfares, those things don't predict outcome. You know, so Ethiopia would do anything possible to stop being a landlocked country. If there is any means, even if it's 1%, to stop being a landlocked country, they would, because the country's population is growing. The more they grow, the more demands they want for a lot of things, and that will put Ethiopia in a situation of trying to do something, do more. So now, do you think, as I said, it will happen? I predict probably in 2030, or maybe if there is a change in rule in Eritrea. Yeah, because I've been watching the news over the years. The only conflict we hear is within Ethiopia. You know, within Ethiopia, there was a conflict that was going on. I stopped keeping updates about that. But one thing I know is Ethiopia have been massing their military close to their border within Eritrea, between Ethiopia and Eritrea, and the likelihood of such a thing happening, it's very, 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 very highly likely. As I said, you see how Russia used to lease Crimea because of the strategic port of Crimea port. Russia used to lease it from Ukraine. I remember vividly. I don't know how many years they leased it from until the conflict started. The first thing Russia did is to take over Crimea. It was easy. Despite the fact that Ukraine have these alliances with America and other stuff, Russia took over Crimea. Until today, one of the Russians' condition of peace with Ukraine is for America to acknowledge that Crimea belongs to Russia. You see, Crimea used to be part of Ukraine when the Ukraine left Russia during the USSR time. Crimea was part of Ukraine. One of the things that Russia was doing is that they pay Ukraine money leasing the Crimea until they see opportunity to take Crimea. So that's exactly that Ethiopia is going to do in Eritrea. Don't know how that is going to happen, but I think it's going to happen. The crazy part of it is that I don't think that Eritrea don't know. They know as well. So their military alliances projection around the world is around there. You know, maybe in the case of that, a country that will come to their defense and all that stuff. But sometimes throughout history, when these things happens, it happens very quick. And when it happens very quick. So they have a strong leader right now that's been ruling that country since 91. It's a dictator rule country. So God knows what is the Ethiopian plan. They have an active navy. It's a landlocked country. They have active navy. Their air force is the best, one of the best in Africa, but they have a strong navy. Can you imagine a landlocked country have a very strong navy? You know, in countries that have big populations that are landlocked, apart from Ethiopia, the only one I can remember is, I think, Uganda. You know, Uganda is a landlocked country as well, but strategically they don't have the same problem as Ethiopia has, because Ethiopia population is much bigger, and they projected in the next before 2040 or something, it will reach up to 200 million. So when countries like that start to expand, they start to expand everything too, geography and everything. So I put the question to you guys: if you're an Ethiopian watching or from Eritrea, do you think this will happen, or somebody that knows world affairs, politics, and everything around it? Do you think Ethiopia and Eritrea will go to war at some point in the future? All right, that's the video. If you have watched up to this point, You know how it is. Subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification button, watch my videos, support my videos, because one of the things that gets me going in this channel is the lovely response I get from you guys. Even with the ones that disagree with me, you guys do it respectfully, and it's so kind to know that. And then as I said, it keeps me going, and knowing that I will have a healthy conversation with you guys. At some point in the future, I would like to have do live videos where all of us will come live. We discuss what's going on around the world in business, politics.